What do high net worth buyers really want? Bob Hurwitz of James Hurwitz Company, Mishi Olson with Elam Pinnell Realtors, and Paul Boomsma with Luxury Portfolio at leading real estate companies of the world are here to share their insights.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. So I guess to start off, can you tell us how it's different when you're targeting ultra-high net worth individuals? Open question.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
I work mainly with high net worth individuals from China right now. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, so we are the gateway city, as they call it. So working with them, no matter how wealthy they are, they always are looking for a deal. So for those of you agents who do not speak Chinese, do not be intimidated. They really don't care if you speak the language or not. They really want you to be the expert, be a skillful negotiator. You can always partner with a Chinese-speaking agent, which they feel is the most powerful combination. So understanding their culture is one of the most important. At least learn how to present business cards the proper way.
Like this, right?
Both
exactly,
hands,
yes,
right. Facing
exactly. Like
the
this,
recipient and
exactly.
really looking at the title of the business card. That's really important.
Mm-hmm. And what size real estate, more or less, are you targeting? What do you sell?
In my area?
Yeah.
Oh, it depends on what their objective of the homes that they want to purchase. So I really put them into 3 categories. Now keep in mind, this is a generalization, but for those that like to buy trophy properties, they don't care about the school district, they don't care about the location, they just want to buy something that's opulent, that they can really entertain their colleagues to let them know they have arrived. So that could be the penthouse high-rise to a single-family residences, that could be $40, $50 million. Then there's the second group where school is the most important thing. So again, in our area, Palo Alto, Stanford University, they always know those two. So again, the school district is one of the most important. And then the third are those that want to purchase investment properties to rent. In those cases, they're looking for properties around $1 million. And to them, location is what is really important because again, they want to be access freeways to Silicon Valley or to San Francisco. So that's what's important to them.
Do you use translators? I mean, you probably don't, but do people in San Francisco in general, brokers, use translators, or do you think they mostly partner up with another broker?
They could either partner. What I do recommend is that you find an escrow officer that speaks Chinese. Now, oftentimes when they do arrive in the United States, they say, this is family, but oftentimes that's their translator. So do not be taken back by what they say. One of the best recommendations that I can give you is always ask for a copy of their passport. They don't believe in transparency, so you don't really know if you're actually working with a true buyer. So you want to make sure that the name on the purchase contract is going to match what the name that's on the passport.
And that's actually a super important tip. You know, not doing that can literally cost you the deal and cost you your reputation because you don't know who you're representing. It's pretty bad. I think that's a key tip. Paul?
I think the thing to remember in this space is that it's always a discretionary purchase. They don't need the house.
Right. Yeah, that's key. Yeah.
Unfortunately, they probably have a fabulous house.
Yeah.
So
someplace else.
Someplace else.
Yeah.
And so the key is to try to figure out what is that house going to do for them, and it's typically going to enhance their lifestyle. So we do a lot of studies, and the good news for the group, coincidentally, we had a luxury report that we released today, so it's on our website. But it's positive, and today's affluent, this is a global study, they feel very positive about the outlook. They're concerned about things, as we heard earlier, right. And that's definitely weighing on their mind, but they're confident about their ability to maintain income, they're confident about their future with income, and they're definitely looking to make purchases over the next 2 to 3 years.
You hear that? Purchases.
So despite what we saw, and I didn't see it last night, but despite what happened last night, if it was disheartening, this is some good news.
Exactly. Oh, no, great news.
But I think that's really the key. You have to try to figure out what is it that they're looking for, what's going to make them happy, because they're already happy, and this home is going to enhance their lifestyle. It's going to improve their family time. It's going to improve the time they spend with friends, with entertaining. But trying to find those things out, because it's really about enhancing their life.
Yeah, and listen to all the things they're saying, right? Because they're telling you what they really want, even in signals, not necessarily words.
Right.
Listen carefully. What are they saying? What are they not saying to lead you to that perfect match of a property?
Watching the body language.
Exactly, yeah. If they're jumping up and down like this, chances are you got a deal. Bob?
Well, I think people have a tendency to put very high net worth individuals in a certain category, and essentially they're just like everybody else with the same motivations, the same fears, the same goals, but they are looking for a degree of experience and expertise that transcends the normal, if we want to say, lower end buyer. So it's really important, and I mean, we have a lot of overseas buyers, obviously, that we're dealing with right now, and I represent a lot of properties overseas myself as well. So I represent a lot of sellers and a lot of buyers that are foreign. But we also have a tremendous amount of influx of great wealth of buyers actually from this country. And it's a different skill set in the sense that overseas buyers are looking for expertise in many cases that involves just how you purchase property here. And certainly, as Ellie mentioned, schooling is very important, but they really have to feel confident in you as the agent. And you are interacting with translators. I will often have my own translator there, just so I really know what's going on, even though they'll bring their own translator.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, 'cause otherwise you don't know what everyone's saying, and you can't give good feedback.
That's true. And culturally, it's really important to understand where they're coming from, you know, how to greet them, everything else. But the bottom line is, for me, it's still about listening. That's the single most important thing. This business, in the high end, is really where you make the big money, obviously. That's why everybody wants to go there. It's still the same basic skill. You listen and you'll learn, and then you'll know how to deal with them. And people's motivations are different. Certainly they have discretionary money, they don't need to buy this, they are looking for deals, but that may not be the same motivation for everybody. So it's really important at every level, and particularly here where if you fail, you lose out big, and if you succeed, you make big. So when you do get a very high-end, high net worth buyer that's looking to buy a property 20, 30, 40 million, whatever it may be, it is so important because saying the right thing will get you the deal, and saying the wrong thing gets you zero. So listen, react to what they're saying. Your message isn't important. Your information isn't what's important, as opposed to reacting to the information they're giving you, and then you give them the proper response.
And know your stuff cold. You know, I find people, you know, tour clients around and they don't know their data cold. And particularly I find with foreign buyers, and especially Chinese foreign buyers, I find if you don't know your data cold, you're dead. They're very analytical. They really want to know you know your stuff. And they may see things that they don't really mean to see what you're going to respond. So it's really important to listen, 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 as you said, Bob.
You know, Dottie, you make an excellent point. They're on the internet. They are doing a lot of research before they even come here. And then when they first start contacting me, they even ask me about all the EB5 developments in the area.
Exactly.
They already know some that hasn't even been approved by the city. One of them, I really got caught because I didn't know about that one. And when I researched it, it hasn't been approved yet.
Wow.
But that's how much research they're already doing. So building that trust, as Bob has said, you know, to be the expertise so they can have confidence in you and work with you. Once they do, they will refer you to many of their colleagues and friends and families. We always say one deal will turn into 10.
Exactly. And that's the great news about our business, right? We're 1 degree of separation from a deal all of the time, which is great. And that's what we have to really farm.
Just really quick, that's a great point, because there is so much information available on the internet. And I was just in China myself, and they were checking Zillow to make sure that I really had a listing on what I had. So the point is this: it's a double-edged.
Zillow know? Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. Okay, they have access to information, but these third-party aggregators that get this information, oftentimes it's erroneous. So your job, I mean, the bottom line here is, yes, it's great to have information, it's great to be knowledgeable. We get paid for selling property. And so it's important that you understand how to diffuse what may be incorrect information that they're getting. That's why it still boils down to, with all of the high tech and all the social media and whatnot, it's person to person. It's getting someone to like and trust you so that you can go beyond what they're reading on the internet. That's how you make deals.
And it's listening for challenges that you have to overcome, right? So again, back to the listening, we really must be present. You know, can't be on your phone every 3 seconds, which I'm totally guilty of, but you can't. You've got to be present. Let somebody else handle the phone. Just be present.
Dolly, I think the other thing is, you make a good point. They do know, oftentimes more than we do. And this industry has gotten so complicated in the sense of how many new kitchen cabinets haven't come out in the last 5 years?
Yeah, can they hear?
And the question is, you know it's a high-end kitchen, but is it a $200,000 kitchen or is it a $400,000 kitchen?
Yeah.
Or is it completely custom and it's half, you know? So I think being able to recognize that and doing a research to know that. The other thing is smart homes are now expected.
Yes.
And there's nothing worse than walking into a home and not really knowing what button to push.
Oh, yeah.
Because we all look foolish.
Yes.
So I'll share a little tip. We did some work with Lutron and Crestron, and their recommended installation is that the main on switch should always be the upper switch on the left. So when all else fails, start with the upper switch on the left. And then when you're ready to leave, the lower switch on the right.
Yeah, perfect.
And just avoid the middle,
Yeah.
because you don't know what it's going to do. But I mean, those are things we didn't deal with a few years ago, because you know you walked in, you could turn on a light switch. Now you know it's very complicated.
Now at least you could see the house
to get the shades open and get
Oh,
everything going. So but they expect us, and if we misstep, we do look a little foolish.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've fumbled many times. Yeah, it's
I'd like
not
to give
fun.
another
Upper left.
Yeah.
Good point.
This is my left, right?
I'd like to give one more tip to all of you. Many of the title companies have what is escrow, what is title in different languages. Make sure you get one of those brochures, depending on what foreign nationals you're dealing with, because like in China, real estate is not regulated, so they really do not understand the escrow process and what is title, why they need the title. So you are the local expert. This is where they cannot find things on the internet. You have got to be the one to explain the process, that when they sign the final papers, that doesn't mean you get your keys on that day. They don't understand the recordation process, etc. So make sure that you explain all that and educate and educate and educate. Don't assume that understand the real estate process here.
Yeah, no, that's really true. And I find, don't be cutesy. Okay, so I had an experience with an ultra high net worth Chinese family where, yes, I've been to China 25 times. I know about the 8s. I know about the 4s. You know, I know all that cutesy stuff. And you know what? I was commenting to them about, oh, well, you know, well, they didn't care about 8s and 4s whatsoever. They only cared about good value, good increase in value over time, great investment. And had I kept my mouth shut, I probably would have sold them 50 properties. Because I didn't, I sold them 1. So being cutesy sometimes doesn't work. Yes, know your data, but don't necessarily share until you're really comfortable. They want to hear that from you. You know, they actually told me at the end, you know, I worked with a Guaylo for a reason. You know, I wanted a Guaylo. I didn't want a mainland person. I said, okay, sorry. So just, you know, keep it to yourself. Listen, listen, listen. Can't overemphasize listen. And Bob?
Yes.
From the Peanut Gallery. What would you say is your biggest tip that you want to offer the audience with regard to working with ultra high net worth individuals?
Well, I think the biggest tip and what they're really looking for is something that you don't just have, which is experience. Again, they want to feel comfortable that this one deal is not going to change your standard of living. That's really important. That's what I tell my own agents. It's, you know, basically, people will sense if you're truthfully representing them. If you're thinking about your commission, they're going to know that, and they're going to sense it, and you're done. So it's really important to, you know, basically impart this idea, which you should be anyway, which is that, you know, I'm here to get you the best deal on the property that best suits you. And, you know, I think that's really key. And that, again, the other thing is, you know, we talk about the overseas buyers. There are so many, you know, celebrities and athletes and CEOs, et cetera, that we deal with as well that are kind of lost in this whole mantra of the overseas buyers are buying everything. And you have to really educate yourself and be comfortable about dealing with their representatives, their business managers, their talent agents. These are all people that have their own power, and they need to feel powerful, and you need to play into that as well. So, you know, if you want to get in the high end, there's plenty of properties out there. Every single property that is that is available, that is listed by somebody else, is in another part of the country. Those are all potential properties for you to represent. But it's really important that you impart this confidence that this isn't your first deal, even if it is. You know, bottom line is we are salesmen, and that is really, we're here to get paid.
Exactly. Fake it
That's
till you
good.
make it if that's what you have to do.
Exactly.
Right? You could say, you know, you don't have to say it's my first overseas client, my first celebrity client, my first ultra high net worth client. Fake it in a nice and genuine way, which is hard, until you make it. It's really good advice.
That's right, and I just think really quickly, if you, I'm totally fine with my own agents, you know, kind of glomming onto, you know, my success and my experience, and to say we, our company, we. It will impart that type of feeling. It'll engender this confidence, because the truth is, you don't need, if you've sold, you know, $500,000 houses, you got the same skills and probably more skills than the people you see on TV, which is all bogus anyway. So just take those same skills and forget about the fact that, hey, this is, I'm going to make $1 million commission or whatever it is. Use those
No,
same
it's $1
skills, the
million
same empathy.
listing, not commission.
Well, that's true. Yeah, if you really want to be successful, just ignore everything you see on those shows.
Yes. Do not high kick with your clients.
Exactly.
You know, there's an excellent book out there called Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. Anybody familiar with that book? You know, get a copy of it. You never know. You could be in an open house and a foreign national can walk in, and you just want to make sure you're not making anything that can embarrass you. So that's a great book. It has about 50 different countries. It's a quick reference, so you can just take good, you know, quick look at what their culture do's and don'ts.
That's actually a great tip. I mean, another Luxury Connect tip. That's really, really important. Are there any questions from the audience? Take advantage of this group while you have them here, because they really have done everything. The number of years of experience and number of deals they've done are amazing.
Thank you all very much for your input. How about negotiating? Could you address that a little bit, how the clients view your negotiating skills and how they feel about you representing them and protecting their interest?
Well, I would say this, and this is as well a cultural situation. It's about managing the expectations both of the buyer and the seller. And we're talking about Chinese clients, which I deal with extensively as well, and it doesn't matter if they're billionaires, which a lot of the ones I'm dealing with are, they still want a deal. And it's important to educate your seller that the fact, hey, no matter this offer may be really low and you don't want to deal with it, but the reality is these people will buy the property. So you have to basically sublimate your urge as a seller to not respond or to be insulted, because that isn't what they're doing. And ultimately, you could cost yourself a sale by doing that. As far as with the buyers, it's about educating them to the extent that, you know, you disempower us as agents, as negotiators, if you come in too low. It takes our power away from it. So it's important, and again, this comes, the person has to trust you. And that's really where you're building from the beginning, from the moment you meet them or the moment you talk to them on the phone or you email, you're building that bridge. And that will help you close the deal as far as negotiating, representing both the buyer and the seller.
You mentioned interpreters. Two parts of my question. Number one, where do you find a good interpreter who speaks the language? And regarding high net worth individuals often have people that you'll meet first, and there's a level of screening and smoke screening. At what point do you try to pierce the screening person and get to the main decision maker? Because ultimately you've got to have a relationship with them. Can you speak to that?
In my company at Alampina Realtors, we have many Chinese-speaking agents, whether it's Cantonese, Shanghainese, Mandarin, etc. And so we actually have a database. We can also select agents by language on our website. And so we have many of our Caucasian, non-speaking Chinese agent partner with one of the Chinese-speaking agent in our office. That way they can actually talk about real estate and educate the client as to the real estate process. I'm concerned about getting any interpreter. I was doing a seminar in Beijing and they actually assigned a translator for me. And I knew she didn't understand real estate. And so I decided I'll never do that again. I'll use one of my agents who can understand what I really want to really relay to the client. So Bob, maybe you had success in getting your own interpreter, maybe from a non-real estate industry. I don't know how you picture an interpreter.
Well, from my standpoint, one of the prerequisites for agents that I take on is that they're multilingual. So people that actually work for me sometimes speak 2, 3, 4, 5 languages. I think what's really interesting what you say is it isn't just enough to be an interpreter. Like when I was in Shenzhen speaking, the guy that works for me in China who speaks Chinese fluently, he actually explained to the translator exactly what was, so she would understand the concepts as opposed to just the words. So I think what you say is really valuable.
Please.
The other thing, in terms of checking people out, not unlike a lot of us know each other here, because we're kind of one big industry and it gets a little incestuous, wealth managers are the same way. And if you make a relationship with a wealth manager, you can often, they will have their wealth management network, and they can talk to other people, and you can do a little sleuthing, and they will find out what you need to know to make sure everything is on the up and up.
And the timing, right? You asked about the timing specifically. It's so different with each person. I have literally sold property to movie stars, never met them. Okay, so I met everybody but them. You know, they came after they purchased it. So it's not necessary. You really have to figure out who is the power person. Is it the manager? Is it the attorney? Is it the girlfriend? Is it the boyfriend? You know, who is it? And play to that person the most while still playing everyone else in case the power shifts. Because that's really important. Power sometimes shifts. You know, wives and girlfriends get pushed out. Other people come in, and you have to be on good terms with everyone.
It's the mother in the Chinese family.
Yes, it is. Yay.
She can absolutely kill a deal. So, you know, if you're in escrow already, always ask, is your mother coming to look at the property before we close escrow?
Love that.
I have seen deals fall through. I mean this. This is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. Well, great. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.